My name is Carlos.
This is Dave.
We are two fat guys talk, and this is episode 131 of Two Fat Guys Talk, a podcast where we, two fat guys, talk. And in this episode, it is a follow-up to episode 130, where we did a little preview and prediction of all things E3 2021. And now we're on the flip side with, we have thoughts, we have notes, we have perhaps a few criticisms of the event, and so I have a few awards to give out. Dave, how should we do this? Should we go through all the shows in order and then talk about our awards, or should we just get right to talking about the show in general?
I think we can go by each day, just how you had it put in your notes. Because I basically did the same thing based off of yours with different points here and there, obviously. I do want to summarize up E3 in general. It sucked. This year was the worst year for E3 in all the years that we've done our E3 show.
It definitely did. Getting hype for industry showcases, I think, is something I'm done with. That doesn't mean I'm never going to watch them again or have them in the background, but they're not going to command as much of my attention as before. Attention is currency, right? And hype is currency that they buy my time with, and my time is precious. And I think I'm going to be a lot more respectful of my time in the future. That said, I don't think this was an E3 that was completely full of duds. There were some genuinely awesome things in it. I was going to suggest we not do like a worst presentation or anything out of the consideration of the hard work that people have put into these presentations and these showcases because of COVID and all that. And then UploadVR and Take-Two happened, so fuck that.
And we are in complete agree. I completely agree with you on that. Yes, a lot of work does go into all of these shows, but sometimes that work didn't result in anything at all, like Take-Two's.
Oh, man. If you even count that as work, but we'll get to that. Before we get into that, though, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is an aberration and has to be abolished. Fucking E3 restreamers couldn't do their job this year because E3 was sending them cease and desists that unless they were an official restreamer, they weren't allowed to have reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just about done with this bullshit recording industry of America garbage law that they bought to get put into fucking effect, that no government on the left or right ever touches. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act has to go. It's an aberration. It is garbage.
Yeah, it's definitely a scourge. I mean, there has to be something there to protect copyright owners, but the DMCA is not it anymore.
No, I don't even think like protecting copyright should be a much simpler and less involved affair. Protecting copyright is, hey, are you making money off of something I made? Stop that and give me the money. Not, hey, are you playing a song in the background of your video or making a copy of music for your family? Give me, I'm going to sue you for all you're worth. It is way too far what it does, right? But it affected E3 negatively this year. Not that E3 needed any more negativity, but here we are.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of shows before June 10th, and we covered them in our preview. They were mainly the Guerrilla Collective and Black Voices in Gaming. There was another Guerrilla Collective, but we'll get to that. June 10th was the Summer Game Fest kickoff show. Now, there were a fair number of games actually shown at this. This was one of the more, I would say, hype-rich, game-filled showcases of E3. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands kicked it off, and it looks interesting to me, I gotta admit.
Well, and anything, like, the voice actor that does Tiny Tina is awesome. So giving that voice actor another chance to do their own style of game, like the DLC Borderlands, I am totally up for. So I am looking completely towards that.
What interests me about it is that it's the aesthetic I always like to see in a fantasy genre. Fantasy mixed with sci-fi, right? Like,
Yep.
it has kind of a Phantasy Star Online meets hijinks kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
I saw Metal Slug Tactics and was super excited because Dottie Amu is involved. They had to draw whole new sprites. It's Metal Slug. It had that cool anime intro.
I thought Metal Slug Tactics looked neat, and I wish it well. I'm not going to play it. I've sort of gotten over my XCOM tactics style game. Yeah, I've gotten over the genre.
Do you think this is going to be more like XCOM or more like Final Fantasy Tactics with guns?
Probably more like Final Fantasy Tactics, but I'm over the genre.
That's fair. They showed Elden Ring.
Elden Ring looks neat. It's another Souls-like, and I'll wait to see more to see if I end up playing it.
We got another Tales of Arise trailer. This one's showing off a lot more of the voice acting and the cast.
And this game comes out this year. Looking forward to it. First Tales game in years I've actually looked forward to.
Yeah, the gameplay looks like it's going to be fun. It doesn't apparently have multiplayer, but unlike the last time they pulled this shit, which was with Tales of Legendia, I get why there's no multiplayer in this one. It's really built for one player to control multiple characters in a way that wouldn't really lend itself to multiplayer, but it's still a shame.
It's a shame, but unlike Legendia, where they basically, voice acted and translated half the game and then said, fuck it, we're out of time. This game actually looks like they're paying attention and going to do a proper job.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks at least worth a look, I think. Now, this is more of an anime rave topic, but since it is Two Fat Guys Talk and not Two Fat Guys Talk Games, we can talk about it. Masters of the Universe Revelation was properly trailered on June 10th, and or the day before, but still, we finally saw a proper trailer, and I'm a little jealous that She-Ra didn't get to have this quality of animation, unfortunately. It didn't quite have the budget or the clout to attract amazing... let's not give people the wrong idea. She-Ra is still well animated. It's still a great show. It's just that I wish the fights were a little more over the top, like this show appears to be, right?
Yeah.
Now, depending on what point in this timeline they do, they could still make this be part of the same universe as the new She-Ra.
No, don't do that.
But whether they do it or not is irrelevant, because this still looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
And, just the song they chose to go along with it was just perfect.
It was
also the first time that Prince Adam and He-Man, you can actually, there's an actual difference.
Wrong. That was done in the 2000 He-Man show.
Oh, no one ever watched the 2000 show.
It was good, though, and this show kind of looks like the old universe, but with that show mixed in. And I'm real excited. Fuck you. Dave, you're the worst part of E3. The DMCA needs to cancel you.
The fact you tried to bring up 2000s He-Man, like, come on.
It was a good show. You and I are gonna fucking be fighting by the end of this.
Oh, probably.
That was June 10th. If we move on to June 11th, Koch Media gave us trailers and information for one game, which was Dolmen. Now, I was looking at their site, this AR, augmented reality site or whatever they were doing, and I was fully expecting this to be just some generic horror game that I wasn't interested in. Instead, Dolmen kind of looks like Dead Space meets PSO, and I gotta tell you, I kind of enjoyed what I saw. I'm kind of into this. And I was not expecting a Koch Media presentation to do it.
Well, I completely ignored this one, and I will not give it the time of day because of who put money behind it.
I get it. I will say that we give money to shitty corporate entities all the time.
I'm drawing the line at the Koch brothers.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying. The IGN Expo had nothing of note for me. I didn't have a problem with it. I know some people didn't like the presenters, but I didn't. They didn't bother me. There was just nothing shown that I didn't see elsewhere or cared about.
So IGN had a couple things. Number one, IGN hosts are just the worst.
Are they though?
They really are, because okay, they're trying to do their job, and they're trying to do it right and everything else, but they annoy me. They try and present themselves as, in the know, in the, hip gamers, but that sort of persona just pisses us off.
Us? You don't speak for me. I don't have a problem with them.
So the IGN Expo had more Tiny Tina, which I can appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
A game called Core Keeper, which looked neat. It was kind of a 2D sprite game. A Metroidvania called Death's Gambit that's coming out to Switch.
Did I have this anywhere in my list?
No, you didn't. 2 Point Campus, which I've been a big fan of the Sim Hospital, Sim Farms sort of games for a long time. 2 Point Campus is just the next step in this company's sort of games like that, so I'll enjoy playing them. And it had another trailer for Streets of Rage 4's DLC.
Oh, was there another? Yeah, you know what? There was a trailer for that, but wasn't that a trailer we had already seen?
I hadn't seen it yet, so...
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, there were some games there that I remember seeing before, and I didn't have an issue with them. I think it's just the new material they showed wasn't anything that really struck me.
I mean, I hadn't seen Death's Gambit before.
Yeah, I was looking it up, and I must have missed that or something. It looks pretty neat.
With all the mediocrity within that show, I'm not surprised.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to die on the hill of defending IGN hosts, or IGN for that matter. I'm just saying that it didn't seem so bad. June 12th gave us a part 2 of the Guerrilla Collective Showcase. Now, part 1 was fine. There were some games I liked and some games I didn't, and I was like, cool, that's what I expect of any indie showcase. Batora Lost Haven was an isometric action RPG that had a very neat aesthetic to me.
Most of the Guerrilla Collective Showcase I clicked through after the fact, and nothing really grabbed me.
I had to do that for part of it because I was busy that morning. Akatori looks like this really neat Metroidvania, though. And I know you're a fan of Metroidvanias.
Oh, always.
Archvale gave me Enter the Gungeon vibes, including the co-op. I'm always looking for co-op games, Dave, because sometimes we have to put up with each other and might as well make it easier on ourselves. Arietta of Spirits looks like a charming little Zelda-like.
Uh-huh.
And then there was the game that caught my eye the most. I sent you the teaser for this. The gameplay looks like old 2D Metal Gear, but it has full voice acting. It's called Unmetal. And I guess it's Metal Gear meets Hot Shots or even Naked Gun or something. It's kind of like, what if Solid Snake was a bumbler in a bumbling world? And my favorite part of the trailer is when he's trying to sneak around one guard who hears a cat. He's like, stupid cat. And then he makes a noise and the guard's like, who's there? And he's like, another cat. Fucking looks hilarious and it looks fun.
Yeah, I mean the trailer starts off just hilarious. I mean, the Marines come in and all of a sudden they're arresting your character for a crime you haven't committed yet.
And then they're like, we're arresting you for a crime you didn't commit.
Oh, it does look hilarious. And a lot of the indie looking games all are coming out for the most part this summer.
Yeah.
Which is something I appreciate. It wasn't like, oh, well, we're working on it, we'll get back to you when it's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't too many to be determined on the indie side, which is a real problem sometimes.
It can be. Star Citizen, when is that coming out again?
Oh, I gave up.
2038?
You mean a playable version that will actually be released to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Probably never.
2038, that's my guess.
Sure.
The Wholesome Direct had nothing of note for me, but it's fine. I think that kind of showcase is necessary, even if it's never going to have something I want.
I'll agree with you. I clicked through it. I guess I'm not the audience for those sort of games in most cases.
Yeah, me too. That's the thing. But I don't hate the existence of the show.
No, look, the host didn't annoy me or anything else. It wasn't a showcase for me.
Now, here's one that I thought I was gonna fucking just hate the whole way through, but I ended up actually liking a fair bit of it, and that's Ubisoft Forward, surprisingly enough.
No, I still hated most of its existence.
That's fair, completely fair. I'm just saying it surprised me a little bit.
Well,
Uh,
and that's fine. I mean, there was, as much as I hate Ubisoft as a company, because their games, no matter what title it is, tends to leak in to be the same game just with a different skin. I mean, Assassin's Creed and Far Cry have basically become the same fucking game, just with a couple crafting mechanics different between them and a little bit of lore.
they should call it Far Creed or Assassin's Creed.
Might as well at this point.
Yeah, when they had the segment when they had that fucking derpy rape apologist fucking president of Ubisoft fucking running his fat mouth. Yeah, I didn't like that. I think that guy needs to shut the fuck up, the fucking degenerate fuck. But the games themselves were fine. Rocksmith Plus looked interesting. It's not really a game, but the learning actual guitar with a guitar and teaching you not like not like a Guitar Hero or Rock Band style game, but an actual like tutor simulator. I thought that was actually super neat, and I think that has a place at E3. This kind of interactive entertainment thing that might have a practical application outside of being a video game.
Now, you do realize like this is like version like 4, right?
No, I know Rocksmith is this thing that exists, and Rocksmith Plus is their latest, greatest feature-rich thing. I understand that. I still think it's interesting.
Oh, and I have using video games to teach a skill like that is an amazing way to do it, and the technology has just gotten better and better. While I will never use Rocksmith Plus,
I doubt I ever will either.
I think it's neat. I could even see myself, taking it up, but the equipment is a little bit expensive, so probably not. But it is neat.
I wouldn't mind seeing more games like this at E3 instead
Absolutely.
of bullshit trailers that tell you nothing, military bro shooters, and zombie games. Like, now, Kiki, shout out to Kiki, she works out with Just Dance, so Just Dance 2022 is no doubt in her future. Far Cry 6, which they showed more of it, and fuck, I always forget. His name is always on the tip of my tongue when we talk about the stupid game because he's an amazing actor. I think it's Giancarlo Esposito. He plays the villain in Far Cry 6 and just an amazing actor. But what interests me more about Far Cry 6 is there's an enhanced port of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon in it. But what interests me most about that is that there's a new Netflix series coming out called Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix that looks 80s as fucking shit.
Well, and that was the aesthetic for Blood Dragon. So I am totally okay with the new animated series. I end up playing the Far Cry series. I end up playing every version that comes out, mainly because most of the time it's a game I can just turn my brain off and just kill shit in. Far Cry 6's DLC has already been announced, and it's not the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon stuff, but there is a DLC coming out where we get to play as all of the villains from all of the Far Cry games, from their perspective, as well as a whole bunch of the psychosis that they all suffered from. That interests me more than actually Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good old time going through that game, but I will wait until that game gets down to about the $30 value before I touch it.
Gotcha.
Just Dance, I weep every time that game is shown at an E3. However, I am glad somebody gets some use out of it.
Well, I think people use it to work out, to be honest.
Well, look, I use VR games to work out. So if somebody uses Just Dance, all the power to them.
Yeah.
And the last note I've got for Ubisoft is, oh goody, another Mario Rabbids XCOM game.
This one looks... I like this one. I like how this one looks because it looks like a more free movement system. Yeah. I like the actual... I like that the enemies appear to be Cthulhu-esque. This one I might actually try, I think. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope looks pretty neat to me.
All the power to you. I hate that this exists.
I hate that. No, I don't hate that you exist, Dave. I'm sorry. But fuck you anyway.
I think part of my problem with the game is that just how tired I've gotten of the XCOM formula.
Uh-huh.
And so the moment I see a game have that, I automatically turn off. I'm like, whatever.
Okay, that's fair. There are a lot of genres I wish didn't exist anymore, so I appreciate that, if nothing else.
Yeah.
James Cameron's Avatar was my last thing.
Oh, goody. That thing's still around?
I find it fascinating that James Cameron's teaming up with Ubisoft, a company rife with military propaganda properties and corporate abuse and crunch culture. This is the most James Cameron thing I've ever heard because he's a giant fucking hypocrite. He made a movie series about protecting the environment, but he'll still hoard all his fucking wealth, that degenerate fuck. That's the second guy in this podcast of possibly 3, maybe more, that I'm going to call a degenerate fuck.
Tom Howard's coming up here soon, right?
Oh, yeah. Todd Howard, don't worry. He'll get called on it. But we have another guy who's going to get called it before, don't worry.
Well, let's move on to Devolver Digital.
Yeah, kind of meh, actually. This one was kind of actually disappointing, which is the first year a Devolver one has been kind of stupid. Sometimes the games are cool in them, sometimes they're not, but the show itself is usually entertaining. This year, it's like they were just going through the motions, and I wasn't really feeling it, I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, to watch it live, you have to go through Twitch, and that's always a bit of a bummer. I fell asleep during this one. That has never happened. I actually conked out and had to watch the rest later.
Only game I cared about in this one was Shadow Warrior 3.
Shadow Warrior 3 looks cool, but they didn't show me anything I didn't already know about it.
Uh-huh.
Demon Throttle would have been something that looks neat to me, except it's a physical exclusive and it's being made in limited numbers.
Yeah.
So I already don't like this limited run games bullshit of doing that while pretending that they stand for something good in society. But now Devolver is getting in on that? No, fuck that. There were too many things in this one that just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm still going to watch the Devolver one next year because this is the first time they've disappointed me. Yeah. So I'm willing to chalk this up as an aberration, which is the second time I've used aberration today. But it still was a disappointment, man. Yeah. Should have been better than this. Next one was Gearbox, hosted by degenerate Randy Pitchford. Now, there was nothing of note for me. They showed Tiny Tina's Wonderland some more, which is fine. I did note that degenerate Randy Pitchford was hanging out with rich liberals, including people who consider themselves woke. And I'm like, of course, because money is the enemy always. Capitalism, bad. What did you see that you liked out of Gearbox, Dave?
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's literally it. I mean, Gearbox is not working right now on another Gears game.
No, and they wouldn't be because they don't make Gears.
Right, wrong company.
Yeah, what the fuck? Whoa, Gearbox is working on a Gears of War.
Sorry, I was giving them way too much credit.
Yeah, clearly.
No, literally, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was the only game I cared about.
Isn't there some other big game they are working on? You know what? I don't know why I asked. I don't actually care.
If there is, I don't know what it would be, because ultimately they'd worked on Godfall, which released to mixed reviews. I can't think of a single other game that they're working on other than that. I mean, I'm actually looking up at their webpage right now, and other than Borderlands, I don't see anything else on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, fuck Randy Pitchford.
Oh, Desert Bus VR. There you go, Carlos.
Folks, this has been Two Fat Guys Talk.
Hey,
our website is
not endorsing
to be taken down.
No, it's not.
5 minutes from now.
Speaking of things that should not have happened, that should be taken down, the UploadVR fucking show.
Even if I was interested in the pointless fad that is VR, this show would have still sucked. None of these games needed VR.
No.
Now, they all look like shitty games I would never touch, even if they warranted VR. but on top of also needing VR to play these useless games, it was just a recipe for a shit show. Song in the Smoke might be the worst thing I've ever seen. Holy fuck. I could
Yeah.
feel that guy is like, you look at someone and you think to themselves, this guy thinks he's better than everyone. That guy in Song in the Smoke, holy shit. That guy made me
Yeah.
mad just
Like,
talking about his stupid, idiotic artistic vision for his game.
so getting to, you're pretty biased against VR games, so I'm gonna let that go before I have to let you go.
Oh, bring it. We will have a knife fight at dawn. I'll bring the catheters, you bring the pizza. What am I thinking of?
I don't know. I don't want to know. Anyway, I watched almost the entirety of the UploadVR show, and
I told you to stop.
I know you told me to
I shut
stop.
it off at 24 minutes.
Oh my god, it got worse. Look, every game they showed off was a cringy mess. None of the games actually showed off any of the strengths of VR, bar one. And that was a drum VR game in the style of Beat Saber. Not a game I care about, the drumming one, not Beat Saber.
What's the
But
title of this drummer game, Mr. E3 guy, who should definitely know this title since he's talking about it?
no, I didn't.
Well.
It's
How do we even know this game exists?
okay. Can I finish? I'm joking. It's called Drum Beats VR, and it is, at least right now, an Oculus Quest only game.
Okay,
Another reason why I automatically passed it.
Can you answer me a question honestly? Did you actually know it, or did you look it up when I was talking?
It's in my notes.
Okay. I wasn't going to be too harsh with you if you didn't. I just wanted to know.
But like, all these games looked like games that came out on Steam 3-4 years ago for VR. There was nothing intuitive about them. There was nothing that was bringing something new to the VR formula. And you're right. Not a single fucking one of them deserved or needed to be a VR title. It just, I don't see VR as being a fad like you do. I actually like what they're doing, but the problem is when a show highlighting new VR stuff highlights this shit, some of this stuff was coming to fucking not Steam VR, or PlayStation VR. The new one that's coming out in December, for fuck's sakes. These games are insulting to call them VR games because they're junk. They're garbage. They're early access wannabes. This show made me so fucking angry. And the hosts didn't help. I get that the hosts are there to try and, get some hype around these games and everything else, but you gotta be honest here and there. I mean, hosts should be able to say, well, that game's not for me. The way they react is if these were the second coming of fantastic games.
Now, in fairness, if you're hosting this show, you gotta fucking show some hype for the titles.
I know, but remember like 3 years ago when the PC gaming show that they did at E3 was so cringe?
Mm-hmm.
This made their most cringe stuff from the PC gaming show look good.
Yeah, it was in the middle of this show that I realized I was a friend of the show, Richie, who has been on the show before. He asked me a question I didn't have a good answer for, and that's, why are you putting yourself through this, Carlos?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. And I turned it off. This wasn't Wholesome Direct. Where was the porn? Why? What the point is there to VR? For me, there's no point to VR unless I can have Elizabeth from BioShock in my face doing fucking porny things while I jerk off. Why can't I virtual fuck Marina from Splatoon or Amy Rose? This is what I would want VR for. I am not actually joking.
Sigh. Last year we got the first AAA title in VR, and that was Half-Life Alyx.
That's not true. Resident Evil 7 was in VR.
Oh, fuck Resident Evil.
And it was highly regarded as a very good VR game.
You can't see this, but I'm flipping you both birds.
Oh, sure. Here's the thing. I'm right. It was in VR. When you watch it in VR, you can see it's actually well made.
I'm not saying
it is very highly regarded as a VR title.
I'm not saying it's not. But it was also slapped together at the last moment.
Still a AAA VR title. Still
Half-Life Alyx was the first made-for-VR AAA title.
I don't know if that's right. But please go on.
Resident Evil as well. It shows what VR can do when used right. We can have these great titles in VR, and it can add to the experience. Nothing in the UploadVR show added to the VR experience. Let's move on.
But I haven't said enough porno things yet.
Moving on.
June 13th, we have the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. They started by releasing an Xbox exclusive Starfield announcement, along with a trailer for 11/11/2022. They showed a cinematic that ultimately told us nothing.
Yep.
And it was opened up by degenerate Todd Howard.
He has a very punchable face.
Now, we don't wish Todd Howard badly.
No. I don't.
But
I don't want to have him get hurt.
Hang on. I'm not done. I'm just saying that if his face was punched, I would feel bad in theory.
I don't like Todd Howard because he is the epitome of a salesperson when it comes to video games. He has no problem lying to your face while knowing that what he's selling you is garbage. And honestly, I was kind of hoping that Microsoft would let him go after they bought Bethesda.
Fat chance he's a corporate fucking big
I know. I just hoped. Starfield, yeah, I mean, it comes out next year, and it's got something to do with space. And it's not coming to actually, most of these games aren't coming to PlayStation 5.
Yep.
However, most of these games are a day one release on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, and that's good for me and you and everyone else who has it.
Which, for a lot of these games, I'm surprised that Microsoft's doing that.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice to be able to just play a new game that looks cool without having to buy it. And then putting down the money if you want to. I get it.
I mean, Microsoft, Xbox, and Bethesda Showcase did have the most games.
I don't think that's necessarily an indicator of being the best show here. But they were filled with games. You can't take that away from them.
And, I mean, I'm looking at my notes, and it has the largest section of any of these showcases.
I think that's true in my notes, too. So
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I just think Microsoft put on a decent show this year.
Sure.
Not the best, but definitely not the worst.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Back 4 Blood, whether or not you care to play it, I wanted to bring something up because this was annoying me about this showcase, and something that annoys me about showcases and E3 in general. Back 4 Blood is an example of a good trailer. It shows me how the game plays, and it gives me a good idea of whether or not I want to play it, because I get an idea of what the game is.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you have Stalker 2 that showed you nothing, Contraband that showed you nothing, Starfield that shows you nothing, and too many others that show nothing but some artsy vision of a trailer. Even Gears of War did this last year, where they showed some trailer of a bunch of faces trying to escape the main characters, as if somehow that mattered. It was just when trailers do that, when trailers seem like they're being directed by wannabe film directors, I lose respect for those games, unless they make fun of themselves, which we'll talk about in a little bit here.
Stalker 2 showed gameplay.
Oh, sorry. They showed tiny little bit of gameplay in between each overlong campfire sequence. You're right.
Okay, but like half of that trailer in between those scenes was actual gameplay being shown.
Was it half of the trailer? Because it didn't seem like that much of the trailer.
That trailer was almost like 5 minutes.
God, just makes me even more mad.
I mean, I agree with you that most of these trailers were just cinematic, and that is a problem because I want to see gameplay, not just CG. But I mean, Stalker 2 did have a lot of actual in-game gameplay. I mean, it showed us how things looked in the game.
Was that gameplay cool, or was it them just walking place to place?
It was combat. It was set pieces. I mean, I never played Stalker 1. But now I'm interested in going back and playing Stalker 1 and playing Stalker 2.
We are doomed as a species.
Oh, fuck you. No. You know why we're doomed as a species? The next game, Sea of fucking Thieves.
Now, still the most amazing water effects I've ever seen.
Yes.
Jack Sparrow is apparently in this game now.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, if they're going to Disney it up, which, I mean, it's got the Disney logo on it now, it's just game is junk. Me and a couple friends have tried to play it, and there's just nothing to it. We gave it one friend still plays it with his kids, and that's fine. But I mean, me and another friend, we're just like there's no, the sword and gun you get at the very beginning of the game is the same gun you're going to use at the end of the game, other than you're going to have a skin on it. There's no upgrading anything. The cruising around in your ship can be kind of cool for the first little bit until you realize that this is all you're going to be doing for the next however many hours you put into the game. It just, I don't understand how this game exists. It's worse than a walking simulator.
I will not speak in defense of Sea of Thieves because I don't care to. I don't care to play a game. I never thought it looked interesting. I just wish that other games would steal its water effects.
Yes.
Like, I'm playing PSO2 New Genesis quite a bit now, and man, I look at the water and I get real depressed.
Knowing that you can have such great effects, yes.
Yeah. The Yakuza games are all on Game Pass now, including Like a Dragon, which I think you would enjoy. Because it's like Persona, but Yakuza.
Yeah, I mean, now that they're there, and I mean, I've been watching my roommate play the Yakuza games over the past year or two, and I mean, they look interesting, and I mean, they have lots of neat little mini games that I've had to help him with a couple, but I don't know. I have such little time to play games as it is between games, anime, and just life in general that I don't think I'll ever play them. It's awesome that they're on Game Pass, and I really do wish them well. I hope they continue to succeed. It's just not for me.
That's fair. Battlefield 2042 is actually looking pretty neat. That trailer actually captured me quite a bit. The big city fight with all the weather and the tornado happening, and you can pilot things and then get out of things and fight. I will admit, that one actually looks pretty cool to me.
Yeah, and there's one really big reason that I'm going to tell that game to go fuck itself.
Dave is going to tell us the reason that he tells Battlefield 2042 to go fuck itself.
Because that's the first Battlefield in years that won't have a single-player campaign.
Dave has just told us why he wants Battlefield 2042 to go fuck itself.
They're going to try and charge $100 for that game for a multiplayer-only experience that I'm going to get for free playing Halo. So, fuck it.
Yeah, we should talk about that when we'll
get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But the game still looks neat. But I mean, yeah, I hear you. If there's no single player component that you really wanted out of it, I get it. They showed more of Psychonauts 2.
Woohoo!
They also, at the thing that happened a couple days ago, the extra presentation they put out that I don't talk about in my notes, they showed so many things about Psychonauts 2 that I would consider them spoilers. Like, they were revealing things that I imagine were big plot twists that are going to happen in that game. And I'm like, man, I hope Dave isn't watching this.
I did not watch it.
Okay. Because they were talking about it. I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. What's his name? Tim Schafer? Is that the guy in charge of Double Fine?
Yeah.
I was like, Tim Schafer, why are you telling me the entire plot of the game? Like, he said things that were akin to, no, I am your father. to Luke.
I'm very glad I didn't watch it then.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ! like, I'm so glad Dave didn't see this.
Yeah, no, I'm staying away from. I'm glad to see that Psychonauts is finally being released and everything else. It only took them 5 years, but I'm trying to stay away from spoilers.
When you do play it and you see some of the plot twists, ask me if they were in that showcase, and I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Party Animals was a funny trailer. Me and Kiki actually laughed out loud at this one. The one with the little animal ragdolls in the multiplayer games doing little headbutts and shit to each other. I don't know how good a game it's going to be, but it was a fun trailer.
I have notes for this one saying, I will be glad to beat you up with my buddy puppy.
I see.
Now, you did skip one game in between. They showed more Fallout 76 stuff.
Oh, you're right. How could I forget?
Hang on.
How could I skip Fallout 76? I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm not done talking this game up. How could I skip Time Magazine's Game of the Decade, Fallout 76? You're right, Dave. Please enlighten us as to what I missed.
You missed me saying fuck Todd Howard and fuck this game.
Oh, okay. I don't have your notes in front of me, so I'm not privy. I'm not privy to your mind. I showed you mine. You didn't show me yours. That could be misinterpreted, folks. Please take a clip of that and take it out of context, please. I beg you.
No, Fallout 76 is garbage. Again, the fact that Tom Howard was out there talking it up was absolutely disgusting for how much he lied to everybody who got sucked into buying that game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the Fallout series is dead to me because of that.
It's a bummer. They should make another 2D Fallout. I'm not even joking.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Those are the best Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2, and to a lesser extent, Tactics.
A very lesser extent, yes.
Yeah, because it was not. I don't think it was a very good tactics game, personally, but.
And I guess, yeah, 1 and 2 were the best. If I had to name a third that was probably of the series, that would have to be New Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of people love New Vegas. I played Fallout 3 a fair bit. I actually had the special collection of the special edition of that. And when I stopped playing, I didn't like hate it. I didn't have my fuck Bethesda stance I had at the time. I was like, this one isn't doing it for me is all.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
So if someone told me Fallout 3 was their favorite, I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
Hell, even Fallout 4, if people like that, whatever.
Well, and New Vegas, I'm glad New Vegas exists because, number one, it was a good game. Number two, it's what ended up giving us the spiritual successor to it. What was it?
The Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds, thank you.
I still gotta play that. It's criminal that I haven't played that yet.
Yeah, it is.
Especially since I have it free. Thanks to Microsoft Game Pass.
Yep.
Microsoft Game Pass. Enter offer code 2FATGUYS gonna give it to you for 50% off your free games.
Next from Microsoft was, of course, Halo.
Halo Infinite was shown quite a bit.
And, after everything, Halo 4 being what it was and everything else, I still kind of want to play this. I like the multiplayer is going to be 100% free to play on both PC and on Xbox.
Yeah.
That is an awesome thing.
I want to give the Halo Infinite multiplayer a shot too. I can't front.
I also want to see if they still do the split screen stuff. I might be interested in getting back and trying it again after all this time.
I'm
putting a maybe on that to see how it is.
I do want to try the multiplayer. I did hear that the armors are less customizable, which is always a bummer. As long as they let me be an elite, because I always would pick an elite when the game gave me a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I would always be the Covenant elite because I'm a much bigger fan of the Sangeli than I am of the Spartans.
Fair enough.
Atomic Heart and its weird Russian J-pop had my attention.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I really liked what I saw there, but I have no other notes on it.
Well, I've had my eyes on Atomic Heart for about 2 years now.
Is that right?
Yes.
So I'm coming in late to the Atomic Heart party.
Very much so. Like we've gotten way better trailers than what they showed at the Xbox showcase.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been it looks amazing, but everybody's always wondering, well, how is the actual combat going to work? How is the crafting going to work? How does this game work? Because all we've ever been shown is we've been told these are supposedly in-game sections, but we've never seen an interface. We've never seen anything substantial other than set pieces. So the fact that Microsoft is now bringing this out means that it's gone now beyond just being well, this probably is never coming out to, this is actually a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Atomic Heart looks absolutely insane. It kind of looks like a Russian BioShock, and I'm totally cool with that.
Why does Steam say it's similar to Doom 2016?
Because people are stupid on Steam.
Yeah, people are dumb. And Steam's algorithm is dumb too sometimes.
Does it say it's a visual novel as well?
Walking simulator. Hente game.
Like Steam's ability to put tags on was a mistake.
Yeah, in general.
Another game that was showed off at the Xbox showcase was a game called Snowboarding Shredders. And the reason I bring up this game is if you're going to show a game at E3, bring your A game. Because this trailer, if this was their A game, was not great. I bring it up mainly because I'm looking for a new snowboarding game. I'm really hoping that maybe EA will get off its ass and give me a SSX3 or SSX Tricky reboot or upgrade or something.
I was watching this with someone, and I mentioned, man, Dave really wants a new SSX game.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned this. These words came out of my mouth.
It's unfortunate because it's like, ooh, snowboarding game. Wait, this is all you're gonna show off? Like this looks boring, guys. Speaking of possibly boring for most people, Grounded got another trailer. Now, Grounded is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, that Obsidian game.
Yes.
It got a trailer with some new content. You have to avoid the spoders.
I'm looking at this game, and it's like, oh great, you're giving another spider to freak the living fuck out of me. Oh goody.
Hey, but you can activate the mode where it doesn't look like a spider anymore.
Uh-huh.
It looks even worse.
Yes, it does.
It's a cool concept. I'm not going to play it, but I do hope it's successful. Yes. I really do wish it well. I do like the idea quite a lot.
Me and a friend played that for a good 20, 30 hours back when it first came out. And yeah, it's a neat little game. I mean, I'll give them a lot of credit for making what feels like a living world in a backyard. I mean, I could do with a few less spiders because they freak me the fuck out, and the fact that they move so much like a real spider really creeped me out. Even the ants, how they moved was really well done. Like, Grounded is not they're putting a lot of effort into this game, and I hope it succeeds. I really do.
I also hope it succeeds.
Another game that I didn't see in your notes, but that I saw, a game called The Ascent. It looks like a cool multiplayer game, almost Diablo-like with guns.
The Ascent. Let me look it up. Age gating. Yeah, I was born on March 2nd of 1928. Go. Oh yeah, this game. Dave, if you put this in front of me and say, let's play this, I wouldn't say no.
That's what I thought, actually. I mean, it looks... The graphics are actually quite impressive.
I do like the cyberpunk look. It's colorful. What I like about the good cyberpunk aesthetic is that it is both colorful and dark at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, this is kind of what I was hoping the next Contra game would be like. But they fucked that up.
A Contra in a cyberpunk world. That might be maybe we need to make this game. Maybe we need to go to Kickstarter or some shit.
Speaking of Cyberpunk, Outer Worlds 2 got a small trailer that they joked about.
Now, if you're going to do a bullshit trailer like this, at least be self-aware enough to make fun of yourself for putting it out. So good on them. And Outer Worlds 1 looked good. Again, criminal that I haven't played it yet. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to Outer Worlds 2 as well.
Well, and especially seeing as the Outer Worlds 1, as good as it was, you can tell they weren't given a giant budget. It was budget does not matter when it comes to making a good game, but you can tell at certain points where they could have used a few $1 million more to, improve this section or improve that section. But the Outer Worlds 1 was a proof of concept ultimately.
I don't know if I'd say that budget doesn't matter. It can't replace passion, but budget can definitely augment passion.
Yes, and the passion was there. The passion was totally there for the Outer Worlds 1, and that's why the Outer Worlds 2 will have a proper budget.
Mm-hmm.
Other game from Xbox I had in my notes here was Redfall. And this comes back to our whole don't just show us cinematics, but the concept being, instead of Left 4 Dead being Vampire 4 Dead, I'm tired of zombie games. I am so tired of zombie games.
So when you saw vampires, you were really excited.
So when I saw vampires, I'm like, oh, thank God it's not another zombie game.
Aren't vampires just undead, though? They are an ogre battle.
They are an undead, but depending on what mythology you go with, they are a living creature, kind of.
In Ogre Battle 64, angels are undead, and they can be affected by things that affect the undead.
That's hilarious. That is awesome, actually. But no, Redfall, I liked the humor they were showing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see actual gameplay from that one, because that could be something I might get into. Even Back 4 Blood, I will admit, after seeing the gameplay and everything else, I went from being completely, I'm not playing this, to, if you guys are going to play it, I'd play with you.
That's the thing, too. If you and some friends are going to play it, I will join in. If it's just me playing with strangers, no chance. Thank you.
And isn't that how a lot of games are now for us?
Basically. There was a game I have that you didn't, called Ayuden Chronicle Rising. And it looked to me like Octopath, very similar in the sprites onto the top of the polygonal world with pixel art sensibilities, but still fully polygonal.
Yep.
It looked like Octopath with cooler combat. Because I haven't finished Octopath, and the main obstacle between me and playing Octopath is that when I play it, the combat system, I hate it so much. Octopath to me is like a Saga game, but the combat isn't cool like a Saga game.
Like, I love how Octopath looks.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's actually available on Game Pass, and I haven't tried it, is kind of criminal. But I keep on hoping that like Dragon Warrior 4 will get the Octopath.
Yeah, because Dragon Quest 3 is getting that, and I might actually replay Dragon Quest 3 to play it in that style, because they're going to add some extras anyway, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm hoping 4 gets that treatment.
Mm-hmm.
If 4 can't get the full 3D treatment, at least Octopath it.
Yeah, I would love to see some older games get it. Final Fantasy VI getting that would be really cool to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which...
Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, well, no, can continue, because I was going to move on to the next showcase.
Oh, okay. It took over an hour for Phil Spencer to show up. He only appeared at the end to show off Arcane's next nonsense whatever game, but he was there. Shoutouts to Phil Spencer.
I've always said that he has a very punchable face.
Really?
Now, keep in mind, I haven't liked him too much all the way back to when he announced the Xbox One, when Sony came along and basically killed them for that console generation. He reminds me too much of Todd Howard and the corporate face of nothing.
Now, in fairness, Phil Spencer is the guy behind a lot of the innovations we like today, like Game Pass, and even some progressive innovations like that Xbox accessible controller, whose name I completely forget.
And that's just it. Is my feelings toward him have kind of changed. I didn't like him as a corporate suit, but especially back when he was talking up doing PC gaming more and they weren't doing anything. But now that they've gone full in on the Game Pass, I have to give him some credit for that. I still don't like him too much, but he has come through at a bunch of stuff that he said. So I will give him full credit for that. Microsoft has been talking going back and actually supporting PC gaming since the days of Windows XP, and kept on screwing PC gamers over and over and over again. Now they're actually walking the walk. So thank you. They're doing the Game Pass at the expense of not selling as many consoles. Because
they're trying to turn Xbox into like a brand. It has boxes, but you can also get it elsewhere.
Yeah. I appreciate that because I don't need to buy an Xbox anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, but I mean, the Game Pass is still a risk for them. I don't understand how they're making any money off of it.
Well, I think people are buying the games eventually because games leave Game Pass.
Yes.
Then you got to buy them to keep playing. And I think given the extended look, people are speaking with their wallets and saying, yeah, I want this. I've bought a few games on Game Pass.
Fair enough. I mean, I've been sticking to the games that have been on there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Me and a friend recently tried to play Remnant from the Ashes. We got through the tutorial section. We got to the point where we could join each other, and that hasn't worked for 3 weeks. So has not been a good experience there. Very glad we didn't have to buy the game. It says a bunch about what we did get to play through that we're still hoping to get it fixed. But yeah, glad we didn't buy it off of Steam or something and then end up with that sort of experience.
Now, there definitely still are issues with Game Pass and game preservation and
all
this, but these are talks I feel I've had before, and I'm not going to get into again right now.
Fair enough. On to Square.
Eidos's Guardians of the Galaxy game, that segment lasted too long, and there's a little bit too much banter in the game itself that seems annoying. But otherwise, I think this game actually looks pretty good.
So far, it looks okay. I mean, especially after, I didn't buy the Avengers game because I knew it was shit. I'm going to have to see a lot more of Guardians of the Galaxy before I even have a shred of interest buying it. They've got to prove to me that this isn't just another Avengers game that's going to be junk.
I think this game's title screen is super good. They showed a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Of them all just hanging out on the ship with the press prompt. That shit was actually super good.
That's good. And it's stuff like that tells me that they're trying to get away from. They're trying their hardest to say that this isn't an Avengers game, that it isn't a live service, everything else, so that they can maybe make some money.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doubly hesitant after Avengers.
Oh, no, it's good to be hesitant. I just think that if they showed a little bit less of this game, people would be a lot less pissed about it, I think. Like, if they just showed some snippets, showed a little bit of its gameplay, not the big segment we got, but something neat.
Yeah.
And that title screen, I think people would have been like, okay, Square, we're feeling you.
Unfortunately, too many of Square Enix's recent titles over the past couple of years have been live service games.
Speaking of which, Babylon's Fall was looking pretty good to me until then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's a game that I didn't know this at the time because I thought it looked fucking cool. But it turns out that a lot of people on the internet are, to paraphrase Spoonie, calling betrayal on it and saying that it actually isn't the type of thing they want to see out of this type of game. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. Look kind of neat. It kind of looks like a Final Fantasy Souls-like with a little bit of Nier Automata in it. Mm-hmm. And when they showed that guy in a t-shirt and jeans kicking Garland in the fucking face, I was like, this is the greatest game I've ever seen. Now, obviously not, but when I saw that, I laughed, and I'm like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was one of my games of the show, and people, they hate it. They're like, what is this fucking guy, this angry guy fighting Garland? I'm like, motherfucker, a guy in a t-shirt kicked Garland in the face. That is awesome.
That was basically the subtitle of Final Fantasy 15. Angry guys kicking things in faces.
Sure. I I'm going to take your word for that.
I saw this trailer, and yeah, I mean, could they be doing a Souls-ish game where they're remaking Final Fantasy 1?
According to Tetsuya Nomura, because unfortunately he's the guy in charge here,
Oh.
he says it's more just another take on it.
Oh, okay, you know something? That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do a remake of Final Fantasy 1 with just one character, really.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, yeah, you're kicking Garland in the face. I mean, I'm up for this.
Garland has a very kickable face.
Like, look, I'm not a great fan of the Dark Souls games. I can appreciate what it's done and everything else. I can appreciate that people like it. But I've enjoyed, much like the Dynasty Warriors games, the moment you take that formula and put it into another game, like I enjoyed the Star Wars Dark Souls game.
Uh-huh.
Very much so. I've enjoyed even a bunch of other games that are Code Vein that was done by Bandai. I enjoyed that one. It was a Dark Souls-ish game. You put the Dark Souls idea into other franchises, and I can really get behind it. So if this is actually a Souls-ish games in the Final Fantasy kind of genre, I'm all for it. I'm in.
Yeah, I thought this looked really good. I was like,
yeah.
The Square Enix thing, for the most part, didn't really impress me too much, but I thought it was good that they capped it on that.
Yes, as much as I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, I'm glad they didn't end on something Final Fantasy XIV. Actually, now that I think about it, they show anything of Final Fantasy XIV in the Square Enix showcase?
They showed a little bit of the fact that Endwalker was coming, but that's it.
Okay.
They didn't really talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't have Yoshi P doing anything about it on stage or anything like that.
Okay. Because usually when they do something like that, he's out there talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of wish that Square Enix had a couple other games. Oh, wait, do we see anything on Dragon Warrior 12?
No, they did not show anything about it yet. They did show more of that Legend of Mana remake. And I kind of want to play it because I remember not liking it at the time, but thinking that I might have given it a bum rap. So,
yeah, maybe. Okay, Warner Brothers.
All they showed was a bunch of Back for Blood. That's it. That's all they showed. No Mortal Kombat, no Injustice. They just showed a bunch of Back for Blood. It wasn't even really a showcase. It was just they had a segment in the main E3 show, so I think there was some kind of miscommunication there.
Okay, because I didn't watch it, so I was leaving this one entirely to you, my friend.
I did not watch either the PC gaming show or the Future Game show. Did you?
Okay, I did.
Okay.
There were 3 games to mention, and that was it from both shows.
Okay.
Dying Light 2.
Okay.
Which has been a E3 staple for, I think, 3 years now.
3 years.
It's finally coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I'm currently playing Dying Light 1 with a friend, and we're loving it, we're probably going to end up buying Dying Light 2. So, showing off more of the world, more of the gameplay, it was a good little segment. Game number 2 was more Vampire the Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a series from the past that I've actually liked. I'm hoping they don't blow it. They showed off a little bit more of the world. And then there was a game called Sacrifire. Sacrifire. This is a game that they showed on there, but it's going to Kickstarter.
This is another game that looks like Octopath, now that I looked at it.
Yes, it does. I found it weird how they would have a game on the PC gaming show that is going to Kickstarter. That's a little bit weird. I mean, personally, I don't think that a game has yet to actually be Kickstarted should be shown at a show because it might not exist. What do you think about that?
I don't know. It's in a way, it's kind of a great advertisement for their Kickstarter, isn't it?
It is.
I haven't contributed to a crowdfund, though, for a long time for good reason.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I don't like what they're doing here is why does this one deserve the press and not other ones?
Do you think there's something shady going on?
I don't want to say it's shady. It's just...
So you do think something's up, though. You know what? I'm leading you. I apologize. I already asked my question.
Yeah, I mean, this game looks good. it just doesn't seem appropriate to be on the PC gaming show or any show for that matter when the game's existence relies on being kickstarted.
Mm-hmm.
So I would question whoever put that on there. Like, why did this person deserve it and not somebody else?
That is interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Sacrifier then.
Well, I mean, it's almost funded. It's at 115,000 of 121,000.
And did it go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
Kickstarter.
Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to take a look. It has already surpassed its goal.
No, it hasn't.
I don't know how to read at all. I mixed up my numbers. Folks, this has been Two Fat Guys Talk. I don't know numbers, and therefore we have to stop.
But yeah, those were the three highlights of the PC gaming show, and I mean, it went on for way longer than it needed to between the PC gaming show and the future game show. Now, actually, let me turn this back around a bit, though. It's possible Sacrifier might have been part of the future game show, in which case maybe my complaint or possible complaint isn't relevant.
No, you're fine. It's weird that anything would be shown here and be like, go to our Kickstarter now, or the game won't come out. Why is it even at a trade show?
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I've told it to remind me I might Kickstart because it looks neat, but we'll see. We're on to June 14th finally. Limited run games.
I only learned later that they did a show, and the biggest news out of it is that we're getting 2 new River City Girls games. River City Girls 2, which is apparently going to have more playable characters.
Yeah.
And River City Girls 0, which is a localized release of the game that Kyoko and Misako were originally from, which means it shouldn't really be called River City Girls, since I believe Kunio and Ricky are more prominently playable in it. But still, the fact that we're getting it at all is pretty cool. The other big news is Double Dragon Neon for the Switch, which I think I will grab because I really want that Neon 2, and I want to show my support, and I wouldn't mind having it for the Switch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I might even just buy it for the Switch, because you're right. If they know there's support for it, we could get a part 2.
Now, I want to point out, nobody owes any company that kind of thing.
No.
Like, I'm doing it by choice. I'm not urging people to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there is something to be said of supporting companies that do good work. I don't like the idea of the Limited Run Games Corporation.
Agreed.
I don't like the fact that they do limited runs of physical games. Even though you can buy all these games digitally, in most cases, sometimes it's only physical. I also don't like their pricing schemes, and I do call them schemes.
I don't like that they occasionally retweet stuff about game preservation and then ignore the fact when people call them out as being a lot of the same perpetrators of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone ahead and I've almost bought a few games from Limited Run Games, and whenever I get to the actual checkout and I see how much they expect for the game and for shipping, I'm like, no, I'm out.
It's a little much. It's a little stupid.
It is.
There's need for some announcements, but both those River City Girls games are going to be available electronically, and that's how I plan to get them, which is its own problem for game preservation, but again, not going to go down that rabbit hole in this particular podcast.
Yeah, we can do that in a future one.
The next one was the Intellivision thing about the Amico. It was a little snippet, not really much new info. I really want this thing to succeed, even though I have my doubts. Tommy Tallarico is so passionate about this fucking thing. He deserves some measure of success for it, but I don't know, man.
I have nothing but respect for Tommy, but I don't see this succeeding. I just don't.
I really hope it does, though. If I have money to burn at the time, I'll get one, but
it's too expensive for too little.
I know.
He's putting he's putting everything but the kitchen sink into it. It looks spectacular, but it's still an Intellivision.
He's gambling on the family game night coming back. And I don't know if that's a niche that's worth gambling on. I know some families who would like it. I know one family in particular that if I got them this as a gift, they would all use it.
Here's the thing.
You know who I'm talking about too.
I do.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He's a year too late. If he had launched this thing near the beginning of the pandemic, it would have succeeded. But right now, with everything opening up, he's fucked.
Maybe people are going to realize and stay in. Who knows?
No.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, but I'm also doubtful.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Take-Two Interactive.
This one's all yours, my friend, because you told me enough horror story about it that I stayed the fuck away.
I enjoyed keeping it on because the live chat, seeing people lose their minds over it was funny, but also entirely understandable. Because what Take-Two Interactive did, I shit you not, was a 45-minute Zoom or Teams meeting about the corporate responsibility of diversity in games. Okay, diversity is important. So is recognizing crunch as an aberration. Take-Two has traditionally failed at both of these things. However, this kind of corporate jargon garbage not only does not help, it will turn people against you. And it's out of place in a game showcase. And while there were some fucking jackasses being like, get woke, go broke, there were also people rightfully pointing out that, hey, this is fake as shit, it's insincere as shit, it also shouldn't be happening right now. And this was 45 minutes of the cringiest corporate non-speak about addressing a problem we know they're never going to in a thing that we were expecting games. And holy shit, even with on the IGN stream of it, the IGN account itself was wondering, hey, we're just as confused as you are. Like, Sony's final E3 thing that they did, I thought was going to be the worst thing ever for a long time. Not even the Unreal VR.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what it was called? Unreal? Oh, not even the UploadVR thing was as bad as that Sony thing, because UploadVR at least showed games. But this Take-Two thing, holy shit. I feel bad for some of the people involved, because you know that they probably knew it was bullshit, but their bosses made them do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so bad. Holy shit. Even if it wasn't out of place, even if this was a thing apart from E3, where people weren't sitting through it expecting the next fucking, like, Grand Theft Auto, it still would have been absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
It was so bad. By far the worst E3 showcase. This is gonna have the crown for a long time. Like, the only way I think this can be topped is if the next Microsoft showcase they accidentally show Todd Howard banging an intern. It's gonna need to be that bad, and even then, depending on how hot the intern is, it might not outdo this.
Oh man, I mean, just hearing about this online was just so bad. You know, if they had spent the first 10 minutes, it would have still been too long as far as a E3 show goes, but to not show any games from Take-Two, like, that's bad.
The only thing that kept me from falling asleep is that I was just stunned. Like, stunned that this was still happening.
Yeah.
For as long as it did. It made the fact that the Capcom show was kind of shitty seem less relevant, although the Capcom show was still fucking shitty. There was nothing of note for me, which really blows, because I was hoping we're due for a new Mega Man. We didn't see it. We were due to see more of Oro and Akira and the mystery last character of Street Fighter V. And we didn't even get that. Just some Monster Hunter shit I didn't care about, and some esports shit that nobody cares about. It was pretty bad what Capcom put forward.
Yeah, well, that's more of a... Capcom doesn't do a very good job at E3 in general, I feel.
I mean, this is the first time they've ever had a proper showcase. Normally, they just put their stuff in other showcases, and we get cool shit like when they showed Devil May Cry 5 at Microsoft's, but not this time. The day caps off with Razer. And after the 45-minute faux diversity meeting and Capcom's nonsense, I actually didn't mind this one because the guy presenting seemed very passionate, and they showed some things that actually I thought looked interesting, like the new Razer Blade 14, which interests me because I've been eyeing a Razer Blade for some time, and Project Hazel, the Razer face mask with swappable filters and RGB lighting. That is the kind of thing that I think we need to see more of in E3. RGB lighting in everyday mundane objects.
God. No, enough with the RGB, for fuck's sake.
I am looking at my HyperX keyboard and looking at its RGB pattern. Hell, even the new HyperX mic I got, which I put back in its box because it's just collecting dust and I'm only going to use it when I come over to your place. Even that has RGB lighting on it.
Ugh.
It's pretty. I think RGB lighting has a place if you can turn it off. That way, people can customize it like I do with my keyboard, and people can turn it off if they don't like it. I think there's a place for that.
Yeah. No, I've got a case that has a transparent window into it, and ever since I put this system together, my processor fan has had RGB going this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally at the point that I'm willing to reboot the computer, go into BIOS, and turn it off. So yeah, it does have to be able to be disabled, but it just RGB has gone too far, I think. It doesn't need to be everywhere.
Agreed. June 15th. You know what? I don't agree. More RGB. June 15th.
Fuck you.
And we get the Nintendo E3 Direct. And you said it best on our group chat. Nintendo wins with an okay thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, this was just an okay Direct. But an okay Direct is still better than the last few days of garbage we got.
Yes.
Kazuya and Smash is neat, but the best part of it for me is the trailer.
Yes.
With him throwing all those people off the fucking cliff.
Look, when Sephiroth was announced, the best part was the trailer there too. And all the memes that came of it.
Yeah, with him killing Mario and going into Smash to spite Cloud specifically.
Yeah, I mean, the trailers are sometimes the best part of any Smash announcement.
Did Sephiroth and Kazuya have an envelope, or did they steal it, and from who?
I don't know if they really would have stolen it. More like they would have appeared, and the Smash people would have just handed it over because they didn't want to die.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. It might be, because they're like, yeah, okay. Gino's like, I don't know. I think Gino probably could take Kazuya. I don't know if he could take Sephiroth, but...
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really care. I don't play Smash. So, all these announcements for all these new characters and everything else, all the nonsense / emotions around, well, this character should have gotten it, that character should have gotten it. I'm not invested in all that, but the trailers have always been neat.
The trailers are really the highlight for me.
Yeah.
I play Smash very casually and sometimes with others.
Yep.
I like having the game around. I like messing with it sometimes, but that's it, because there are too many things about it that irk me that never get fixed.
The last time I played the game was the last time I was at your place.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck, if you wanted to play some matches, like if you got it next time I go over at yours and you want to play some matches sometimes, I'm game.
I don't own the game, and I'm not spending the money.
Gotcha. Metroid Dread.
5, yes.
I was not... Now, here's the thing. Some people don't know this, but since Super Metroid, whenever they show a preview of a new Metroid game, that's part of the main timeline, they have Metroid and the number. Like, in the opening scene for Super Metroid, it says Metroid 3. In the opening scene for Metroid Fusion, it said Metroid 4.
Yep.
So the fact that they showed Metroid 5, I was like, holy shit, this is the game after Fusion. This is the latest in the timeline now. Although the Prime timeline might be not related. We'll get to that in a moment. But Metroid Dread has been an urban legend ever since it was hinted at, I think, in one of the Metroid Prime games. It's been in development for a long time, and it's going to get a what happened, you know it is.
This game has been in the making on and off 3 times. This is the 3rd time. Over the past 15 years, they've tried to get this game made. All the way back to the point where even the what's his name? Yoshio Sakamoto?
You got it. Holy shit. I don't expect this of you, Dave.
I only remember that because I was reading an article yesterday on this whole thing.
Yeah.
He has been trying to get this game made, and it was supposed to be on the DS the first time.
Uh-huh.
And it was all the way back where he didn't even really have a storyline. He just had the ideas for the enemies at the time.
Yeah, the Emmys.
And he's had to put on hold multiple times. He made a kind of a not even a demo, but a slice of it at one point and farmed it around, and Nintendo didn't want it. I mean, this game. The funny thing is that Metroid Dread is its original development title.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're bringing it back as that title is super fucking rare for Nintendo. Because usually, if they're bringing something back, it'll get a new development title or something else. But the fact that its actual development title was Dread, and it's now Metroid Dread, is just... It never happens with Nintendo.
I like the title, honestly.
The title is awesome. And the fact that we're getting it this year, and that we're getting Metroid 5, which, from what Sakamoto said, this is supposed to end this part of the story, but not end Samus's story.
Yeah, and that's cool. It should be neat. Like, here's the thing about Sakamoto. I was not a fan of Other M at all.
Yeah.
I think when he gets that much control, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's telling a more subtle story, I think he's fine at what he does. Because when he does that, we get Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion. When he gets the reins to be a director, we get Other M. And the less said about that game, the better. Fortunately, Other M seems to be enough of a side game that we can just ignore its existence.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that, too.
But
so I like that Sakamoto seemed to have found kindred spirits with Mercury Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played Samus Returns on the 3DS?
I have.
Samus Returns is a good fucking game. I would argue it's like Metroid meets Shadow Complex a little bit, but more Metroid. It's more Metroid, but there's enough of that Western dev stuff to make it feel really nice.
What I'm hoping happens, especially seeing as Metroid Dread's going to do very well.
I hope so.
I'm hoping that gets them to release a Switch version of Metroid Returns. But if
Samus Returns.
Samus Returns. But if that can't happen, I hope this pushes them to do a Switch version of Metroid Fusion.
I'll be fine if they just keep making new 2D Metroids, because here's the thing about Metroid 5 here, Metroid Dread. It's kind of like Fusion already.
I know.
With a thing chasing you, right?
I know, but I liked Metroid Fusion, so I would love to play it again on a new system.
Funny enough, when Mercury Steam first talked to Nintendo, they demoed like a Metroid Fusion demo remake.
Really?
And then what happened is Sakamoto and Nintendo said, we actually have been wanting to do a remake of Metroid 2 for some time. And I think since Mercury Steam hit it out of the park, Sakamoto was like, you know what? These guys can do Metroid 5.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Mercury Steam, I didn't hate Lords of Shadow 1. Lords of Shadow 2 wasn't really my thing. Mirror of Fate was an okay 2D game, but Mirror of Fate showed that they can do Metroidvanias, and I'm glad that Mercury Steam went from that to being like a Metroid house, and maybe a Nintendo second party, which means they can put their talents to some other games too.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, actually. I think Mercury Steam has a lot of talent behind it, and I'm glad to see that they're here in this spot where they are now.
Yeah. I wish them the very best.
Now, Metroid Prime 4 is still in development by Retro Studios. Metroid Prime is apparently, according to Sakamoto, it's its own timeline. And I kind of agree with this. Because all the Metroid Primes taking place between Metroid 1 and 2 just seems a little silly. Especially since Metroid Prime has its own history of what happened to the space pirates and to Ridley.
Yeah.
So if we do a split timeline thing where it's Metroid and then one side goes to Prime and the other goes to Metroid 2 onward, I think that's fine. And that lets Metroid Prime 4 not be constrained by anything.
Yes.
It lets it be the last point in its own vision, right? I was a big fan of Metroid Prime 1 on the GameCube, not as big a fan of 2 or 3. I'm still pretty excited for 4, and I hope it controls more like an FPS. But I'm hungry for more Prime 4 news, despite the fact that I'm really excited for Metroid Dread.
See, for me, Metroid Prime 1 was great. Metroid Prime 2 was iffy at best.
The Light World parts were good.
Yeah. It was the mechanics around the Dark World and everything else I just didn't like.
Me neither.
Metroid
Not a
Prime
fan.
3 I liked, but it was constrained by the hardware.
Yeah, the forced Wii U shit there's forced Wii shit, and the fact that it wanted to look and feel better than it was.
Well, you see, even when it forced me to use the controller the way it did, I got around that. The problem was that it was constrained by the hardware, in that if I ran across a room fast enough and hit the door, I had to wait for it to load the next area, which that could get you killed in some rooms.
That was a problem since Prime 1. I've died in Prime 1 because of that. However, in a way, I'd rather have that happen than just have a now loading thing come up. But yeah, that's something they've done since Prime 1.
But it was supersized, the issue, on Part 3.
Is that right? I played Prime 3 a bit, and I thought to myself, I really like this. I hate how it controls. I hope this comes out for a future Nintendo system.
Mm-hmm.
And to that effect, I hope there is a Prime trilogy coming to Switch.
That would be nice.
Because I would love to play Prime 1 and 3 again and just skip over 2 again.
Mm-hmm.
Which I played through to completion, but didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Some good bosses in that game, though. Maybe I'm giving it a bum rap. Maybe I need to play Metroid Prime 2 again. Maybe I am the fool.
I don't think so, but yeah.
Hey, why does that new Cruis'n game look so good? Cruis'n Blast. I kind of want to play it.
No reason not to.
Zelda riding a dune buggy really sells me on Age of Calamity. I bought it and its DLC pass. I want to know more about the timelines they're doing for Breath of the Wild.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of which, Breath of the Wild 2, which its title is still unknown, we know it's not going to be called Breath of the Wild 2. It takes to this, it opens up the world by opening up the skies. And that's not quite the underworld, but it seems we're getting a bit of that too. There are some fun theories about who your playable character is in this, because it looks a bit like Link and a bit not. But still, I'm pretty excited for it. I don't know about you.
I kind of wish it was Zelda that you're playing as.
I agree.
Yeah, some of the theories going around are just, they're awesome in how people are thinking about certain things. It's just so out there. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, it's only coming out in 2022.
Yeah, I know that you are hoping that there will be a Switch Pro by then.
Well, I was saying in our group chat that I was sure the Switch Pro would be announced at this E3. However, I got to thinking about it, and why would Nintendo release a brand new Switch version when they can't get the console into people's hands? With the chip shortage right now, it's just, Sony and Microsoft can't get their systems into people's hands. Nintendo's not going to do the same thing.
No, I agree. I still think there is optimization to be had on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually shocked that Nintendo never sought out to hire John Carmack or someone of similar talent, because that guy has been making 3D engines work on hardware that has no business running 3D engines since Doom.
Yeah.
And I think, I say this with a lot of confidence in John Carmack, I think John Carmack could make Age of Calamity run good on the current Switch hardware.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. So what they need is some kind of optimization talent like a Carmack. But I don't know if they'll have that by the time. Because if Age of Calamity is taxing a Switch, what the fuck do you think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to do? Breath of the Wild 1 slowed down at times. And now you want to open not only that whole map again, but the skies above it, apparently in real time?
Yeah.
There is going to be some engine trickery to make that work. And that's fine. There has to be engine trickery to make it work, but will it work well enough? That's the question.
Well, as long as it runs as good as Breath of the Wild 1,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah, same here.
They're, especially the Switch version. I remember my Wii U version, the bird city.
The bird city. I know the city you're talking about. It's way on the northwest of the map. I don't remember the name of it.
Okay. You know that their whole the fact that their town is part of that giant rock that goes all the way up. And there's one puzzle there that you have to line up the very tip
mm-hmm.
to one of the shrines to open it. On the Wii U, that was laggy as all hell. It was almost undoable. On the Switch, it ran just fine. The Switch didn't really slow down in any of the main areas I can think of, unless you were like on the motorcycle.
What chip is the Switch running again? Is it a NVIDIA Tegra or something?
Let me look that up.
Yeah, me too. Nintendo Switch graphics hardware. It is running a NVIDIA Tegra X1.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. As we figured out in our new Genesis escapades, there's a lot of miracles a simple driver update can do.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there is optimization to be had even from NVIDIA's end of things. I'm still hoping that what will make me very hopeful is if a future patch of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity smooths things out. Because if that happens, that tells me they know how to refine the engine for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Even though Age of Calamity also has a lot more entities on screen.
I think Age of Calamity would, if they could get some of the DSS stuff working on that, or even just a dynamic resolution, for when things get with more things happening on screen, if they could lower the resolution at those points down to say 520 and then bring it back up to 720. Of course, those would be docked resolutions. That would probably help in the battles.
Maybe. Like, the docked resolution goes all the way to 1080, but I hear this thing chugs either way.
Yeah, like, I just think that if they put in a dynamic resolution system for that, it would smooth out a lot of the problems in battle.
Yeah, you forget sometimes, like, having all these enemies on screen is different from having events happen in Breath of the Wild that are happening in real time but don't need to be rendered. That's a lot less taxing on a processor.
Not to mention, most of your big attacks in a Hyrule Warriors looking game, they're very flashy sometimes. So those effects are hitting, 10, 15, 20 enemies and causing those effects to actually blow up on each one of those characters. Of course, you're going to end up with a slideshow.
I wonder how much they're descaling or like making lower resolution models when they're further away. Like, or maybe even when there's a lot of enemies around you, only the closest ones get the full treatment.
Yeah, like,
just some ideas for Nintendo if they're listening.
Like, the problem I've got with Age of Calamity most of all is that they released it, and as far as I know, they haven't really done too much work to fix it. Okay, now this is hilarious. I just did a search for Hyrule Warriors performance patch.
Uh-huh.
One dropped today.
Oh my god.
One dropped
today. Awards and shoutouts. You saw my awards categories.
Yep.
Before we begin, do you have any categories that I don't?
Nope.
Okay. Best showcase. What was your best showcase?
It's got to be Nintendo with a decent showing.
Uh-huh.
And then second would definitely be the Xbox Bethesda.
I agree. I think Nintendo and then Xbox Bethesda. I put them as a distant second because there was way less I liked about it than Nintendo's, but maybe that's not fair. I'm going to put it as second, basically.
See, you might think it was distant second. I had a lot more games on my list that I was like, ooh, yeah, I actually want to play these. So
that's fair. That's fair. What was actually, I'll go first for this one. The worst showcase is Take-Two Interactive's 45-minute Teams meeting, somehow undoing Sony. The second worst was UploadVR.
Yeah, I have to agree completely.
If these two didn't happen, I probably would have put Capcom on here and maybe Square, but actually, if these two didn't happen, I was going to suggest not even having a worse showcase, but here we are.
Yeah.
Better than I thought it would be. Dave, what was better than you thought it would be?
The PC gaming show.
Cool. For me, it was Ubisoft by just a hair, and also Razer.
Fair enough.
The should have been better award for me was Devolver Digital. What a fucking letdown.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was hoping for a lot more presentation from them.
Game of the show for you.
See, that one, game of the show,
which is what it really is your favorite game. Like, let's be real.
The game I'm looking forward to the most it would be between Psychonauts and Atomic Heart.
So between Psychonauts 2 and Atomic Heart, then.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it was Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins. Still puzzled by the backlash that one's getting. Followed very closely by Metroid Dread. I'd even go as far as to say they're tied for me.
Fair enough. Metroid Dread's definitely on my list.
Yeah. The game I normally wouldn't be into, but actually, I think I want to play this stupid thing award for me is Battlefield 2042 and maybe Dolmen.
Back for Blood and maybe that Redfall game.
Okay. And I added an extra one here since I sent this to you, and it's the Carlos doesn't give these showcases enough credit award, which was Guerrilla Collective, because I didn't hate anything about either one, even if they didn't always have games I was interested in.
And for me, that would have to be the PC Gaming Show, which has come a long way from the cringeworthy show of 3 years ago.
I would agree with that too. Dave, we did it. We got through another E3.
Next year's E3 is going to be very different for how I watch everything.
Me too. Hang on a second, Dave. I have this crystal ball here. I don't know if you know this, but I got a crystal ball,
okay,
and it's able to actually look at the future. Should I look at June 2022 and see what we're saying about E3 2022?
Sure, take a look.
Okay, let's go. All right, E3 2022 is upon us. We're going to do a preview of the show like we do every year. I know we joked last year that we weren't going to watch it, but what are we going to do? What else are we doing? Dave, what games are you looking forward to most in Valve's first ever game showcase?
Sorry, I'm not channeling future Dave here, so...
You're not going to play along with my stupid little skit?
Okay, fine.
I'm fucking sorry. I'm fucking sorry.
I wasn't ready for you to put it back to me. Valve's first. Oh my.
No. You know what? The magic is over. It's over, Dave. We're going back to the past. Oh wow! Look at that. You ruined everything again, Dave.
Wow. Future me is just as enthused about a Valve showcase as I am now.
Yeah, clearly. Let's check the voicemail box, and nothing.
Like usual.
Man.
Actually, it's funny you bring up Valve, because Valve is intending to get into the console space.
Yeah, they've been for a while, actually. They've wanted to consoleize Steam and make their console able to run most Steam games just natively, which I think is cool if they can make it happen.
Yeah, the Steam Machine idea was it was way too much. I mean, they tried the Steam Machine, and they even partnered with different manufacturers, and it's going to be a burned once, twice shy kind of situation. I mean, those people who did get into it ended up with a lackluster PC in the first place, running Steam OS. So I think Valve should just get back to doing what it did right. Go back and do another, Left 4 Dead or Portal, or continue the Half-Life series and just continue making money by not doing anything.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
it's tough to argue that they don't got a winning formula for themselves right now.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to make games and make all the money. We want them to make another Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, or Portal game, but he doesn't have to do another video game ever in his life. Mm-hmm. So the fact he wants to get into the console space, I kind of wish he'd just shut up and stop.
But what if that's the next big console? What if it's the next PlayStation 1, where it ends up being the runaway hit the world over? Carlos, why are you asking this? What would that matter right now?
I don't think we need another console in the war.
If it's something that plays Steam games, but then it's like, you can still play them on PC, then it'll kind of be like Xbox for me. Maybe if it's the kind of thing where you never need it for a game, but it's an affordable option for some people, I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Sure. I think we're fine with the big three at this point. I mean, ultimately, I don't consider Stadia to be a competitor. I never did. Especially seeing as, they seem to be adding games very, very slowly, and people are pulling out of the Google Stadia program. In fact, I would be surprised if Stadia disappears within a few more years.
Yeah.
Because that's Google's MO.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't make them all the money, they pull out.
Yep.
I guess I'm more worried that any sort of console, much like the Steam machines, if they aren't an instant success, that Gabe will abandon them as well.
Yeah, they might well do it. But you know what? Even though E3 kind of sucked, it's still an interesting gaming time, I guess.
It is, if not just for the fact that the last year and a half definitely shows how little or how much it affected E3 this year.
For sure.
45-minute diversity talk. Unfucking believable. Sony didn't show up this year. They didn't just not show up. Most of the good or big games that were announced aren't coming to Sony systems. That was Microsoft's big thing this year, was that PS5 did not show up on 90+% of the games that they showed off this year.
I think their biggest presence was in UploadVR.
Yeah, actually for the PSVR system. It's weird that none of the other companies showed off any big coming to PlayStation titles.
And Microsoft flexing some of their money. Kind of like how PlayStation flexed some of it in the Game Awards. So
yeah. It made it for a more lackluster show this year.
PlayStation still has found good success with their little state of play, so whatever. Folks, what did you think of E3 and the things surrounding E3 this year? Please visit us on our website, twofatguystalk.com, which you can also get to by going to animerave.xyz. There, you can leave us a voicemail by clicking the send voicemail button and leave us your feedback for E3 or any other topic you want us to cover on Two Fat Guys Talk. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe, stay warm, wash your hands, stay indoors, don't drink and drive, always spay and neuter your pets. A penny saved is a penny earned.
Thanks, and tune in next time, everybody.
Goodbye.